Taimoor Khan, welcome to the Preconstruction podcast.
Hi, Gareth. Thank you for having me.
You're a dedicated man. The man has delayed his start time at work to come and talk to us, so I really appreciate it.
Well, I wouldn't miss this opportunity to talk to you. So, I put everything aside and say, I'm going to talk to Gareth today.
Yeah, well, listen, I did the same because every event or conference that I've been to in the last 14 months, you've been there. You've been speaking. You've been an ever presence. So I just can't wait to get into today's topic. And for anybody listening, we're going to talk about two things. We might pivot from the two things, but it's going to be about transparency within pre-construction and the right mindset. I'm going to call it a pre-construction mindset because it's specific to pre-construction and it can be used in all walk of lives. Yeah. But just to set the scene, Taimoor, give us the viewers an idea of where you're at now and who you work for.
So I've been in pre-construction for over 18, close to 19 years now. And I have a background in civil engineering, and then I did my master's in construction management and went to pre-construction more accidentally. Well, it was called more estimating at that time. And when I started my career, my goal was basically to learn estimating and to grow into a project manager. So I was looking more towards career in project management. But as more and more I worked in estimating, I started developing the interest in estimating, but I knew that just estimating is not enough for me. So I have to make it more exciting and attractive for myself as a career. And I said, okay, how can we take it to the next level? And that's when I realized basically pre-construction is what I want to do. And that it does not limit myself to only putting the numbers together, but also how to manage those numbers throughout the design phase of the project. That means you will also manage the designer and the owner during that phase, how you can build relationships, because that's your opportunity where you build the relationships, and that goes a long way. It's not just for that specific project. Also with that, how can I grow as a leader? It's at some point in your career, you are becoming an expert in what you do. So they try to elevate you and you get into a leadership position. And a lot of people take the position just as an authority and you turn into a leader, which does not really happen. Leadership is a completely different skill set. You cannot become a leader just by a specific position or authority. So I had to grow as a leader as well. And then during that journey, of course, I'm still a student of leadership. I realized that it's not just about growing yourself, but growing people around you. So for me, it's all about, having that mindset of growing people around you and seeing everybody getting successful and, as an overall team getting successful as well.
Brilliant. I love it. And to give people an idea, you're VP of Satterfield Pontikes now down in Houston, doing incredible things. If anybody doesn't know, Satterfield are very much a technologically focused and advanced company. And I think that's where your passion lies. But there's so many strings to your bow, and we just get an insight into the mindset just there when you were describing it, the striving, the standards. So I'm looking forward to getting into this. So let's start though before that with transparency within pre-construction. What does that mean? What does it look like? And what is the best standards within transparency and pre-construction? Is there any misconceptions out there when it comes to general contractor side?
Yeah, working with multiple companies through my career so far, I have realized that there are certain information that we like to share with the client or sometime with the design team, and certain time we don't share that information. And I believe the hesitation is some way to protect the interests of the company that you work for. And I was always curious that how can transparency hurt you I mean, if you are open book, and especially and when we talk about negotiated contracts, a CM at risk type of approach, the process is more important than the numbers by itself, actually. So the numbers are basically used for a reference, but not really too much focused on the numbers in a way that you have to manage the design versus the numbers. So it's not just a low number and you get the job. It's more about how you can keep the overall value for the client, and get them what they want. And that means you have to manage a lot of things around that number. It's not just a number, and that does not happen with only very limited information. It's more about whatever information you have, or whatever from cost standpoint or the risk point of view. You have to tell the owner upfront. You don't have to wait till it gets too late for the owner to make that the decision, and it basically a bigger financial impact, I would say. And usually the reason we get hesitant is we don't want to lose the project. We believe that, okay, well, if the numbers are coming higher, maybe down the road they will get better. And it's all about you're trying to hide something with a hope that everything will go well, and usually it doesn't go well, right? So the truth comes out anyway, and that's when the client gets frustrated that why didn't you tell me before, right? So it's always good to, even if it's a bad news, to tell them earlier, so that way collectively as a team, and when I say team, that's us, the contractor, the owner, and the design team, so we can work collaboratively to find solutions to problems. Just hiding the problem doesn't really solve the problems.
Yeah, and I think that's a cultural thing. Historically, construction has always done that. And again, we'll touch on it later. It's a mindset shift that we need to be more collaborative. And I think, like, as a pre-construction professional, and you'll be able to talk more to this, it seems to me that it's very much from the trade partners through the GC to the owner. It's basically channeling that information and giving the information in a timely manner so that there's no major incidents. But if there is major incidents, then the client is well versed, and he knows. And it's almost just updating him then rather than bringing this new problem to him. How common do you think that is, and how common do you think it is going to get over the next 5 or even decade?
I think it's getting better because the clients are getting more sophisticated now. They want more information. They are more interested in your process and how you are going to manage the budget or the design throughout this whole pre-construction phase of the project. It used to be just you will present just a summary level costs, and that will be your project direct cost and some of the soft costs or indirect costs along with it, and that's it. And there's no story behind the numbers, and actually there is. So it's better to tell that story so that everybody understands that this is the story that in align with the mind of the design team as well, and also the vision of the client. So if it's not aligning well, that picture that we call it an early design phase, if it's not aligned, then we need to align it earlier than later, and you can save a lot of money and rework during that phase of the project. But I believe it's getting now. The contractors are opening up more because they feel that there's more benefit in sharing all that information behind the numbers, not just the numbers, and it's helping the cutting down the design phase of the project.
And the delivery methods are obviously more collaborative that the clients are choosing. I think that helps as well. How much does technology help with that as well? I mean, you know yourself, if you were to give them all the information, your day would be made up of being on the phone or being on the email from trade partners to clients. How much them logging into a specific software is helping just basically free up a little bit of time for that estimator or the pre-con manager?
Yeah, so the technology always help because the main purpose of technology is to facilitate your work, make you more efficient, and your quality of your work need to be getting better and better. So one part is basically how you build your information and how you use the technology to build that information. And the second phase of the utilizing the technology is how you present that information, how you collaborate, how you communicate with the client and the design team during that whole process. Um, Traditionally, if things goes wrong, the contractors is the one to get blamed, and everybody point fingers at the contractor, and contractor is typically not in a position where he can start pointing fingers back to the client or the design team because he don't want to ruin the relationships, and he's in a tough spot. So with now the technology has helped where we have platforms like Join or Concentric, and there's some other platforms that are, I think, developing as well, which creates a more of a shared accountability, where everybody is in there as a team member and everybody is accountable for all the communication, the collaboration, this decision making. So nobody can really point fingers at each other, and you are basically working as a team versus trying to just save yourself or maybe just protect your benefits or interest versus as a whole. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's generally what happens. I mean, you can understand why people do that, but if there's information there, then it doesn't matter. And I think what you said about the general contractor being more open, being more transparent, being more honest, I think that then creates almost like a project culture for the designer and the owner to be able to say, well, if they're giving up all this information, we're going to give up this information as well, and we're going to be a little bit more transparent, essentially, or more collaborative. Do you find that during your projects? Do you find that the design teams and the owners that you're working with now are just from the get go? There's that culture there.
Yes, I read a book by Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Effective People, and one of them was to create that win-win situation. And if you try to work closely with your client and the design team and understand their perspective, and when you're sharing the information, you keep that in mind that I'm not only trying to benefit myself as a contractor, but also creating some sort of a benefit for my team members as well. So everybody understand each other perspective. And when you create that understanding, the mutual understanding that we are in there as a team, and whatever decision that we make or the direction that we take, it's going to benefit all of us. So when you have everybody on same side, then it becomes more easier. And I know that it used to be more us against the architect or us against the, because you are trying to put yourself in owner's good books and blame everything on the architect, and architect is doing the same. And that's not how it should be. It should be more like we as a team, we need to look at it as collectively as how we can help this project as a team, not just playing against each other. So yeah, I think it's growing, and the technology is facilitating that whole communication and collaboration process. So we are not really trying to just hold the information to ourselves or just try to put the architect in trouble. I think it's more about how to just be more thoughtful about other people's perspective as well.
Yeah, it's healthy. It's much healthier. And again, moving on to our second topic as well, it takes a certain mindset to be able to do that, and a certain confidence as well, Taimoor. I mean, and I see it all the time from general contractors, even at Advancing Preconstruction in Denver just passed. Contractors are getting up on stage and they're sharing their processes, sharing their technology, sharing their findings, the successes and failures. And that will just benefit everyone, because there's enough work out there for everyone. But you have to have a certain mindset for that. I'm interested in what you have to say about the mindset from top down, but also from your level VP, because you've got to manage the mindset up, but you've also got to manage the mindset down as well. So give us, before we get into that, give us an understanding of mindset, the pre-construction mindset that you're renowned for.
Yeah, you brought a really good point, because I was just going to talk about that side of the transparency as well. A lot of times the contractor doesn't share too much information with the architect or the client, that maybe that information they may share with another contractor or competitor, right? And they would know our secret recipe. And there's really no secret recipe, everybody knows how to do estimates. Everybody knows how to do scheduling and everything. And it's all about just a little bit of different ways of doing things. And it's more about people, it's not about just the way you do things, but it's more about the people who are actually building that information and how they present the information. You cannot really copy that. So as far as you're going in with a positive mindset, that builds that influence or build that trust. So the technology and all those other things, give and take, every company is very close. Most of the companies are very close with each other. You can keep innovating and keep getting things better and better. But if you will live under the fear that whatever I'm doing, if somebody else knows the secret recipe, I'm going to lose business. I think that's a really negative mindset. So you have to be positive, and when you share the information, and going to all these conferences where I see contractors sharing how they do things, I learned some new things. When I share certain things, of course, somebody else would learn certain new things. So we all can grow. It's not about just you growing in the whole country and not letting anybody else grow. It's all about positive mindset, and you share the information, you learn from each other. If you don't share, how will you learn from somebody else? So that goes long ways too.
Yeah, and that's a mindset thing. I mean, it could be a cultural thing within the company, coming from the owner, coming from the board, coming from your boss. That's a decision that's been made, because don't get me wrong, not everyone does it, Taimoor. I mean, we see the general contractors at Advancing Pre-Construction. There's some that just do not attend, and they think that by staying within their office, within their company, trying to solve things themselves, that is the way forward. But that's a long road. It's a long, expensive, and time-wise, it can take much, much longer. Whereas if we're all in the same room, thrashing it out, sharing stories, sharing success stories, failures, and understanding as a whole, because nobody does pre-construction and estimating the same. This idea that every company is the same is completely nonsense. Every process is different. Every kind of, well, everyone uses different technologies that speak to each other. So there's constant problems, and it just feels as if there's 30 or 40 contractors trying to solve the same problem. Whereas if you get into a room and thrash it out, we can get there much quicker. And as you say, then the secret sauce is your ability to communicate and your people.
Yeah. And how you give that comfort to your team members or team, or the people who are front people in this whole process, how they manage that whole process with the transparency, and are better communicators, building trust, have that empathy. All those things basically make you a little bit better than the other companies, and you always have to keep striving to get better and better. That's where the innovation plays an important part of it. You can't, I mean, if you look at it, all the technology is available to all the contractors. Anybody can purchase any technology that is available, but not just buying the technology really doesn't get you better. It's the mindset. You have to have that positive mindset that I need to keep getting better and better. And in that process, basically, you learn from other people, and that requires for you to share your experiences as well, so people can learn from you. You cannot expect that I want to learn everything, but I'm not going to share any information. That doesn't really work well. So
Work. And listen, as an industry, construction, obviously everyone kind of tells us that we're way behind when it comes to innovation. But I think that the open-mindedness thing is the key to me. I mean, you only have to look at the suicide rates within construction. It's just too high, and we just need to learn we need to integrate it into the DNA of construction to share whatever it is that's on our mind. And that includes technology and success stories. I want to talk about mindset as well, because there'll be people listening to this. They might be project engineers, APMs, estimators, mid-level estimators. From your experience, what is crucial when it comes to mindset? Because one thing that you said at the conference was really, really kind of hit a nerve with me is before you change anything, if your mindset's not right, everything else becomes much more difficult. But what does that mindset look like?
yeah, so I've always enjoyed technology, and I always look for newer and newer technologies to utilize and see how I can improve my overall process, and be more efficient. And in that whole process, I realized that if you can upgrade your software, upgrade your processes, but if you do not upgrade your mindset, then you are not, really aligned with the technology that you're using, because you're still thinking old ways of doing things, but you're using advanced technology. So you have to upgrade your mindset, and that mindset is more bringing more positivity, more being more open-minded, more critical thinking. Like, okay, maybe what you chose, maybe that's not the best. So you don't have to be stubborn about when you are trying to make a change. A lot of time when we pick up technology and a process and everything, sometimes we get stubborn about it, that this is the best way. And that mindset is not good. You still have to keep looking. Maybe there's a better way, right? So I go to these conferences and I see what other people are doing. Maybe what I was thinking, maybe not the best way to approach it. And when I pick a few things here and there from other people, I try to make some adjustments to my processes and, to the way I'm doing things, or even how I approach leadership in my role. And that's a 360 leadership, not only going upward or downward, but also going upward. So it's a combination of so many things, and the way you think, the way you approach everything in this our day-to-day pre-construction is really a mindset growth. So.
Yeah, and one thing that has come from speaking to so many bright minds in this podcast, I think we're almost hitting 100. I think you might actually be the 100th guest, Taimoor, so congratulations. The mindset is everybody that's gone really fast in their career has come up against an opportunity where they haven't felt 100% comfortable, but they've gone, you know what, I will go into that problem, that position, that something that's been offered to me, and said, I will have the right mindset and I will learn from this, either good or bad. So is it something that can be trained, or do you have to be born with it?
Well, you got to come out of that fear mode. And once you become fearless, when I say fearless, means that you are trying to push the boundaries, you're trying to think out of the box, and you're trying new things. Like every time I put a proposal together, I try to change a few things here and there, or try to make it better, right? Not just because I don't want to stuck in a way that I will be doing the same things for the next 5 years, 10 years, the same way, because then you go into more of autopilot, where you're not really challenging your brain. You're not really thinking. You're just saying, you know what, it's my comfort zone. I build a recipe, and then I'm going to use this recipe for the rest of my life. And you know that around you there's somebody else who is thinking, more innovative, and they're gonna get better than you. So if you don't get better, people around you will get better. So you have to keep thinking that, I need to, and not just the sake of it, but you have to change for getting better and grow people around you. It's not just the processes. You can have the best processes, can have the best technology in the world, but if you do not grow your team, if you do not grow their skill set to utilize that technology and the processes, you will always have gaps in your whole overall pre-construction approach. So you need to prepare your team as well to align with the advanced technology that you have, and then you help them grow their mindset with the same way that you have. So you allow them to make mistakes. You allow them to try new things, because that's how the innovation happen. If you don't try anything new, how will the innovation happen?
And that's it. And not only that, that's why diversity within the team becomes in as well. Because if you have everyone thinking in the same way, as you say, you always go back to that way you've always done things. Incredible, Taimoor. I have to say, we talked earlier as well, kind of off recording, about the amount of topics that we could have covered here today. There's probably another 3 or 4 that I would want to cover with you, but I think we should bring you back and talk about those as well. So for today, transparency and mindset, I really, really want to thank you for your time. If there is anybody there that wants to ask you some more questions around transparency or mindset, where's the best place to contact you?
Well, you have my email address, or even actually somebody can reach out to me directly on my phone, contact information. I can share that with you, and if you wanted to share that with your audience, that's okay with me, because I always like to talk to people about pre-construction, about leadership. And when I share my thoughts, I try to pick something from them as well. It's all about learning from other people, and I enjoy talking to folks like you, and anybody who is involved in the pre-construction or in the leadership, because we have that fraternity. We share that common passion, and it's always good to talk to the people that share common interests. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to mention something as well before you go. You are working at the University of Houston as well, as a professor in kind of give us an idea of that capacity, because I mean it's a common gripe of mine, the education system. It doesn't prepare graduates for the pre-construction and estimating world. Give us a quick overview of that role that you're doing, and because the reason I want to get that out there is people might be looking here, or their sons, daughters, nephews, nieces might be looking, going, I'm not too sure where to send them for a good pre-construction degree or profession. So what's happening in the University of Houston?
Yeah, so I teach at University of Houston as adjunct professor, and before that I used to teach back in Michigan at Western Michigan University as well. And I was always very and the classes that I taught were of course more technical. But what I realized is that even when I was a student and during my school time, all we learned was the technical things. And we all know that when you start your career, it's not just the technical stuff. What bothers you the most is the lack of people skills, or what we call soft skills. And these younger generation is not really prepared with the skill set, the people skill set. So they struggle when they start their career. Adopting the technical side of the things is usually easier for them, but getting into an environment, dealing with the people where people have different personalities, how to communicate with them, how to have that emotional intelligence to deal with the tough situations, or criticism, how to deal with that, how to grow in your career. All those things nobody teaches them. So what I try to do is that, along with the subject that I'm teaching, I try to prepare them for the professional life with teaching them some soft skills as well, and that includes how to communicate effectively and how to have that emotional intelligence and have a control over emotions and usually deal with the situations by eliminating or keeping the emotions at the side and then looking at the facts versus just taking everything personally. How to grow, how to approach your career, how to grow. Just do not uh, go and work every day and thinking or hoping that you will grow. You need to have a growth mindset. You need to have an intention how I'm going to grow, and that's how you are going to grow. Otherwise, growth doesn't happen just naturally. You have to have the intention for it, and you need to have a plan for it. So again, more geared towards the soft skills. And a lot of the companies nowadays, they expect uh, when they are interviewing all these folks to have at least have some sort of a soft skills side of that part of it too, but nobody teaches them. So how will they have that? How will they gain that confidence? How will they get prepared? How to talk and interview, how to answer these questions, how to build even resumes. So I kind of give them some tips on those type of things as well. So
Brilliant. Yeah. Believe it or not, everyone knows that my day job is recruiting the top 10% of pre-construction and estimating talent. And you would be surprised when we're qualifying and speaking to these people, how many times we've got to tell them to do the basic of stuff. So that getting that education at the University of Houston it's amazing. It's amazing what you're doing, and then obviously you're introducing them then to pre-construction and estimating, which I believe they do not get in other programs all over the US. It's generally a small slither of the program that's basically ticking a box, and we need to get more people, especially graduates, into pre-construction and estimating because we all believe that it's where the fundamentals are at.
Yeah, and most of the programs in all the universities, if we're related to construction management or construction engineering, they're geared towards preparing people to become a project manager. So if I ask my students, usually it's 80-90% of the students want to be a project manager because nobody explained to them their career in pre-construction as well. And it's as important, actually, sometimes even more important, I would say, than even the construction. So I try to bring that awareness, but I believe that now the universities should start revamping or remodeling their programs to create some specialties. And even one of the specialties could be pre-construction. So people can learn about pre-construction. They can grow their career in pre-construction based on the survey. All the pre-construction professionals that will be retiring in next probably 5 years, there will be a big gap, and we will have a big shortage of pre-construction estimators in the next 5 years. So we need to start working towards that and prepare the next group of pre-construction professionals.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very surprised, Taimoor, that they haven't been a big company. One of the E&R top 10s haven't come out and gone, you know what, we're going to partner with one of the universities and we're going to run a program for pre-construction and estimating, an actual degree focused towards it. Don't get me wrong, that degree can talk about operations, which of course it should have, but I can't believe they haven't done that. Does that surprise you, or do you think that's something that might happen in the future? At the minute we're leaving it to the education board or the education people to bring us and to change. Why doesn't an E&R top 10 go in and go, right, this is the program I want to run. The 35, 40, 50 people that come out there every year will be fully qualified pre-construction estimating folks.
Yeah, there's definitely a need of all big companies partnering with universities and actually either have these students go into these companies to spend some time. And I know that some of these students get an opportunity to go for some internships, but that internship time frame is not that long enough for them to get real exposure. So I believe during that 3-4 years of their university time, at least they should have at least 6 months to a year exposure in companies where they can work in pre-construction department as well and see that there's a career. And I know it used to be where you had a limited uh, uh, I would say growth in pre-construction, where you would think that the maximum I can become is a chief estimator, or I can become a director of pre-construction. But I have seen in the last or past few years, I have seen people turn into CEO positions who came from pre-construction background. So that's basically a positive thing, that people who are starting their career in pre-construction estimating, they can become the top ranked people in the company as well, not just limited to chief estimator or director of pre-construction.
Right, Taimoor. I am championing this, and I've been shouting about it from the rooftops for months. We need a CPO, Chief Pre-Construction Officer. When are we going to get a pre-construction person in its C-suite level? Listen, what you're saying is amazing, CEO, if we can get them there. And I'm seeing a lot of pre-construction people that are in big companies are getting frustrated. They're branching out, they're leaving, and they're starting their own pre-construction services, highly technologically focused general contractor, and they're killing it. They're eating the big boys, the mid-sized general contractors. They're eating their breakfast and their lunch. They're coming for, and they're getting big and they're growing fast. Can you ever see a CPO within a general contractor?
I think there's sky is the limit. The way the trend is changing. Now, pre-construction is getting more and more attraction. Pre-construction is getting more and more recognition, and I believe that trend needs to grow more in order for people to get more attracted, and especially the younger generation. And again, because they don't have the awareness that there's a career in pre-construction. So once you explain to them, actually, this career looks more promising and more attractive to them than even the construction one, because they can have a much better, life balance, family life balances, work-life balance as well in their in pre-construction compared to construction.
Yeah, and that starts in the high schools. I mean, we could talk about it all day, but the exposure's got to be in the high schools, because you know yourself. I mean, I was one of those people. I was leaving high school and I was like, I don't know what to do. And my parents basically said, you're going to be an electrical engineer. And that's what I studied. But if I didn't know what to do, I mean, hindsight's great. I probably should have went and done a construction management degree, more varied. But if they're adamant that they don't want to be a project manager, they don't want to be a superintendent, and they want to be involved in construction, then pre-construction is perfect. And then you start taking people that maybe have been down the financial services, the IT, healthcare, whatever it may be. You start broadening your pool of people that you can bring into construction.
Yeah, and you know that at the university level, the counselors or the guides, the guidance that you have at that level is basically to pick you the right major, and that basically facilitates you to get the job, right? But not really how to grow your career. So that guidance doesn't come from the coaching that you have or the counselingship that you have available at the university level. Maybe if we can have, just like we were talking about the program, connecting the contractors with universities, where these pre-construction professionals can have at least every semester a session for whoever wants to join, and kind of help them create that vision of their career once they graduate, and how you can grow your career in pre-construction, how you can grow your career in construction, and it explain the overall career growth, not just how to get a job, because getting a job is just starting your career and then you don't know what to do, right? So, I mean, eventually, of course, we figured it out, but if we can help this younger generation be a little bit more focused in how to grow their career, they will grow faster versus, finding by themselves that, by making all those mistakes that we did. So
Yeah, and you said it at the beginning, everyone just falls into pre-construction because maybe lifestyle, whatever it may be. Listen, Taimoor, we could talk for weeks. I want to thank you again. And listen, what I'm going to do, the contact details for Taimoor will be in the show notes. I will also put your LinkedIn profile link there as well, so they can hit you up, connect with you, drop you a message on there as well, if they have any follow-up questions. Taimoor Khan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Gareth, for having me, and it was really a pleasure to talk to you. We have talked behind the podcast before, but it was nice to talk to you on the podcast as well.
And we'll definitely have you on again soon.
Thank you.